It's going to be a new series in collaboration with Quatro Legal and also Howler Magazine. I'm Terry with Howler Magazine, and so many people have so many questions about moving to Costa Rica. And one aspect of that is the legal requirements, what you have to know legally. And fortunately, Quatro Legal is here to be your friend in the process and to demonstrate not only do they care, but to give you the answers that you can make the best decision you need, whether you're coming here for retirement, a second home, or investment property. I'm with Howler Magazine, been here for over 5 years. It's the #1 digital platform for information, all things Costa Rica. And joining me today is Miss Debbie from Quatro Legal.
Hi, Terry. How are you? So good to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day today, and in the background is I wish it was the view out of my office, but it's almost the view out of my office. I'm located here in Flamingo, and it's a pleasure to join you with this. And so many people have questions, and oftentimes what they do is they go to Facebook and they'll be ridiculed and have so many different answers. And people just want to know the truth. Tell me what I need to know if I'm going to move to Costa Rica. What are the requirements? And fortunately, your agency is here to help people with those questions. I think it's an initial free introduction visit with you. And tell us a little bit about what Quatro Legal can do to help those who are considering moving, relocating temporarily, or whatever the circumstances are, to Costa Rica.
Okay, well, thank you. So I really think, and you hit really, I think, a nail on the head there with talking about people trying to get their legal advice on Facebook. You know, I don't see as many people trying to get their medical diagnosis on Facebook, but they really want to get their legal representation answers from other people on Facebook. And while some of that is okay, the problem is everybody's on a different journey and everybody's coming from a different place as far as what they need, what they're doing, you know, what country they're coming from. And plus some people might have moved to Costa Rica yesterday, and some of them might have moved there 20 years ago. And so things in Costa Rica change, as we all know. It seems like constantly that something is changing, some little requirements being tweaked, right? And so, you know, it's really a great idea, I think, especially, you know, we've had our own experiences with attorneys in Costa Rica. We've been coming to Costa Rica about 15 years. We've had property, you know, we're in Samara, so we've had property there for almost 14. And I can tell you I've been through a few attorneys. And the thing that I didn't understand in the beginning was how important it is to have an attorney in Costa Rica. We're coming from other countries. You know, other countries, especially my home country, we don't need an attorney for everything. You know, we don't need an attorney to buy a car. None of us have an attorney really when we buy our house, right? There's a title company, but we don't hire an attorney for that. And so, you know, people don't really understand how important it is to find an attorney that you can talk to, that has people that can speak fluent English to you so that you can understand. And I think that's the #1 thing, is first and foremost, find an attorney. And that's what Quatro is here to do. We can help people with their residency, find property, pretty much anything an expat is going to need in Costa Rica. Quatro can serve that need and help them. And that's what we're here to do, is to help them and make sure that they can get really good answers for them and their family so they can make, you know, informed, educated decisions on what they need to do.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. There's I know why I moved to Costa Rica, and everybody's different. Every region is different. But what do you think there's some qualities of Costa Rica that attract so many people to become expats here?
Well, it's a beautiful country, right? And, you know, everybody is looking for a different thing, right? Some people, you know, are coming there for the weather. You know, they're leaving the cold north behind. I know I personally do not like snow anymore. And so that was one of my driving reasons. Some people are leaving instead of that kind of climate. They don't like their political climate in their home country. So they'll be leaving, for that. Costa Rica is a really great country for a lot of things, and a lot of people really appreciate that there's no military. They like the stable government. They also like the healthcare. Costa Rica has great healthcare. So I think it's got a lot of things to offer that really lets people check the boxes of what they're looking for, whether or not they're retiring as pensionados or if they're coming much younger. In Samara, we've had in the last 4, 5, 6 years, more and more families moving to Costa Rica, not just retirees.
Yeah, it's become a good hub for remote workers. And I think there's some benefits that the country does for those who want to work remotely. How did you decide what area that you settled in? What were some key things that helped you decide? Because everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different. In Costa Rica, you have a variety.
You can choose all kinds of things, right? And really, truly, we ran around in all kinds of places, right? We ran around in some places that were so remote. I told my husband, I'm like, we're going to have to leave breadcrumbs. I'm never going to be able to come and go from here, right? Because, there's not a lot of not a lot of signage. We're out in the middle of nowhere. I would be better about that now because we go quad riding up the mountains all the time now, so I have a better sense of direction, right? But for me, what it really boiled down to is 3 things, and you're going to laugh, but this is what I think people need to decide. Are you a city mouse? Are you a country mouse? Or are you a beach mouse? And if you can decide which that is, and that's really what happened with us, I knew that one of the things that would make me happy and make me smile every day when I woke up was to have a beautiful ocean view. Right? And so when I realized that and I decided that that's what it was and I needed to quit traipsing around all over the jungle, right? Because I wanted to get up every day and hear and see the ocean. And so when I decided that and we decided that, it made it very simple. Because we did a lot of the things that people will tell you not to do. It all turned out fine. We didn't rent first.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different thoughts on that, but we didn't rent first. We made 2 or 3 trips within, 6 to 8 months. And I really think when you see it, you know it. And for us, I was buying the view. And when I saw the view, that was it. So okay. I really think it boils down to that. You not everybody's cut out to live in the middle of nowhere in the country. If you've lived your entire life in the city with Costco on the corner, you're going to have some really rude awakenings when, you're going to have a month's worth of food at your place. And if you run out of milk, you're just not going to go there just willy-nilly, right? And so that's a lot of different lifestyle change. And you just really have to, I think about who you are. If you're someone that, wants to be like dead center in with the healthcare, and you want to be able to go and get health care, state of the art, at any time, day or night, within 20 minutes, then you need to be in the Central Valley. Or if you really want to see arts and, you want to go to the ballet or you want to do all those kinds, then that's the Central Valley, right? And there's many places in the Central Valley and all kinds of different weather in the Central Valley, plus and
Even
minus.
the suburbs outside of the Central Valley, where you don't mind the traffic because you got traffic there. So every region's different.
Yeah, and if you're only going in once a week for shopping or to go, it's not that big a deal. So there's all kinds of suburbs within, I don't know, what would you say, 30, 40 minutes, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you just really have to do some soul searching of what's right for you. And don't get emotionally attached, to any place when you're looking, because I know some people have looked in the past at different homes and different properties, and they get set on it, and they are already arranging their furniture, and then they find out, oh, this doesn't have water, or oh, this property is not really on this lot, or, oh, all these things and that's another reason why it's so important to have a great legal counsel, is because it's so different. You buy something, in my home country of the States or in Canada, you don't have to worry about if there's water. I can go to the property and turn the faucet on. No, there's water. I can know that, it's on the property it was built on. And so the due diligence in Costa Rica is something that people are not really prepared for. And they really need to understand that in the beginning, up front, before they ever come, before they ever start looking at property, before they ever start talking to a realtor. Because the realtor is trying to sell you, right, on a piece of property. You need to understand what you're looking for. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's my country mouse, beach mouse, city mouse. That's my decision.
Yeah. And fortunately, in Howler Magazine, howlermag.com, you can look at the various regions. There's examples of all the different regions.
Right.
Here in Guanacaste, it's pretty and green now because it's rainy season, but
Yes.
in a few months, it's going to be kind of dry looking. That's fine with me. I don't mind. I'm the country mouse type of person. So with all the resources that are out there, and also all the legal companies, and you'll hear good, bad, and ugly about legal representation. What are some things that Quatro Legal can help an individual when it comes to help deciding buying or renting or building something new or buying an existing home? What are some things that Quatro Legal can help bring to the table? Some answers.
Okay, I think and back to that, finding an attorney and legal counsel that can help you, a lot of it really boils down to, in the beginning, of education, right? You can read 10 things on the internet and get 15 different answers,
Right.
And by the time you've read all of it, you're so confused.
Right.
And there's a lot of inner things that kind of build together and intertwine. And so I think it's important to have a law firm that you can talk to that is fluent in English, that has people that you can understand, that has documents for you to read, that have videos for you to look at. And the reason they do all this is that Quatro Legal really cares. That's at their core, right? They have a way of delivering legal services from a point of view of caring about the person, caring about what their objectives are, what they want to accomplish in their move in Costa Rica, and helping them actually get those results. And I think that's what sets them apart. Many people, I usually will tell people that we'll get to talking about different things, right? And everybody has a lot of thoughts about attorneys in all countries. And in all countries, a lot of times it's not good, how people feel about attorneys. And so I'm very, very straight up with people, in the U.S., I'm an attorney. And one of the things that I prided myself on, and still do, is also being very caring about the person and caring about the results and delivering services that people need with reasonable prices. And so when I met, everyone at Quatro, it was like, oh, this is fabulous. We line up perfectly together. So I think that's what really sets them apart. That's their core business model. Everybody has to make money or they can't feed their kids or pay for their house or these kinds of things.
Right.
But their profit center model is not on that. It's on actually helping people. And I think that's where you find attorneys that really you can rely on. They're going to do what they say and say what they do, rather than someone who's just there to, sign you up, not really explain it very well. You're constantly trying to talk to them. It's just different. And so,
And they're going to call you back.
And they won't, and not calling back. That is a pet peeve over the entire world of attorneys not calling people back. And, I can tell you that I will call you back. In fact, I may call you back. You may be tired of me explaining things to you. I generally will tell people by the time I'm done, you're going to be able to teach this yourself because I'm going to make sure you understand it. I think that's important. And especially if you're coming to Costa Rica, it's different. Everything is different. And you need to understand what you're getting into. It's a beautiful country. I wouldn't change it for the world. If it wasn't for having kids and grandkids, I would never go home, back to the States. It's just a beautiful country, and I love it so much. But you really need to understand it and get people that can really explain it to you. And I think that's what Quatro Legal has.
Super. And there's various strategies people will have. Maybe they'll go to one area for 3 months and go to another area, not buying yet. And that's you do your due diligence and you go different places. You know what it's like in the different seasons. And then you learn about that area. And then when you settle on an area, of course, there's that realtor search and you want to, what are some things to look for when it comes to a realtor? There's a good, bad, and ugly on realtors also, but what is something that Quatro would recommend when looking for a realtor?
Everybody has a story with that. We have our own story with that, although the woman who was the realtor was very nice. The problem is she had aligned herself with someone who was passing themselves off as an attorney, and they were not. And so, she has since called and thanked me very much for fighting that out for her. But it is true, and the thing that's different in Costa Rica is than from where people are from and what they may be used to. Where I'm from, I can get on the internet and I can look up any house I want, and I can tell you how much it's worth, how much it's sold for. I can tell you who lives there. I can go back and realtors can run comps as far as like, oh, these are the houses around that sold. There's all of these tools available that we are used to. They don't exist in Costa Rica.
No,
as you know,
not yet.
At all. Not yet. Well, and I don't know, in some ways, some of it is going to be difficult because, there are some subdivision type properties, but for the most part, all the properties are different, right? So that's going to be kind of hard. But not yet, there isn't. And so you really have to find a real estate person that you feel that you can trust. The other thing that's interesting in Costa Rica is really there's not a lot of exclusive listings, as you know. Most of them are what we would have called in the States in the old days, hip pocket listings. Like the realtor had this little cache of their own listings, right? And they could sell them, but so could anybody else. And so, you have a lot of realtors who are very worried about showing people properties, and plus the owner can sell it themselves with a lot of times in Costa Rica because there's not this exclusive system. Again, that's the reason why you get an attorney first, because it's so daunting. And not all the realtors are as educated as they should be. Not all of them are really keyed in on all the due diligence and all the things that you need. And so you really need to make sure this person, and I use that word realtor, probably throwing that around when I shouldn't be, because there is no such thing as a realtor in Costa Rica, because that term I think is trademarked, in the States, and it being a realtor means that, you passed a test and you belong to an association and there's standards, and somebody yell at you if you do something wrong, and people to complain to get money back if you do something wrong. That doesn't exist here in Costa Rica. So not to scare people, because there are lots and plenty of people who are really legitimate business people who are affiliated with some of the big name agencies. I think those people really are trained and they know what they're doing. But when you find a little, somebody that says, I know a guy, or if they say, oh, you don't need a real estate agent. My cousin has this land. Well, that other cousin is, going to get the real estate commission. They're going to get something for bringing them, right? So you just really need to be cautious. And if I were doing it over again, I probably would. Our situation was also unique in that we bought a foreclosure.
Okay.
Everyone should buy a foreclosure in a country they don't speak the language. What could go wrong?
No. So
But nothing
if you
is,
want,
so it was fine. But I would
if
look for a bigger name company myself if I was doing it again. Somebody affiliated, that I'm familiar with the name
right,
recognition kind. That's what I would do. Um, Only because I know there are so many, I'm going to call mom and pop little realtor people who aren't trained, who don't know what they're doing. And they definitely are going to, I also have a thing about um, if you're buying something in some of these small towns, I think you need to have legal representation that is not in that small town, so to speak.
right,
You know, uh, and that's because you never know who is whose cousin, kind of thing. And so with Quatro, the great thing is that they have 3 offices, so that you don't have to travel so much, to get things done. But you're not having to worry because they're a different type of entity. You don't have to worry that the realtor is the cousin of the local attorney, and I think that's important, at least to me. That's what I always tell people.
right. So you want to be an expat. You've done your due diligence. You've looked at the different regions. You're going to decide on a realtor. There's like a whole checklist that someone would have, like, do you buy or build? Do you rent? Do you ship all your things down, or do you buy new? And should you buy a car or ship your car? So many different questions, and
Oh
I
yeah.
know there's blogs on Quatro Legal, and there's stories on Howler Magazine to help people kind of go through that checkoff list and what works best for you. I think you told me that you are doing some house cleaning before you make the move down here. Is that right?
I think everybody does some house cleaning. You know, different people do different things, and everybody's going to have an opinion about this, and everybody's going to have a story to tell. But the thing that people need to understand is Costa Rica, things are expensive because the government slaps customs and taxes on things. And so if you're going to be bringing a lot of goods, then you're going to have taxes to pay on that. And I usually tell people what you need to move and you need to bring with you is something you cannot live without. For instance, if you must have your KitchenAid mixer to live your life, then you need to bring it because it's expensive in Costa Rica, right? If you have a particular, and a lot of this is cooking things, because I think cooking things are harder for people to find. I mean, I spent, I don't know, months once trying to find a sifter, So some things can be hard to find because you don't know where you're going to look for them. So bring the things that are most important to you. Most of those things you're going to be able to bring in several trips of suitcases. But you need to understand that not all kinds of furniture should be in Costa Rica, depending on where you live. We're at the beach. You don't want to bring leather. You bring leather, it's going to be just destroyed.
Right. Right.
And so, you just have to look at that. And if there's sentimental stuff, most people I know leave those back home with relatives. And the car, that car thing is such the decision, because again, cars are expensive, and you will have real sticker shock when you come to Costa Rica and you look at cars, you're just like, oh my, But it's again, the cars are inflated because of the taxes, and so I know people who brought their car and they're thrilled to death they brought their car, and then I know people who brought their car and it's still sitting in customs jail and they can't get it out, because customs hasn't cleared it. That's what I call it. I call it customs jail, sorry. They can't get it out, and so it's racking up all these fees as they speak, So you just have to decide, if you're a person that always has to have a brand new car and you have a brand new car at home and you have the money to bring it, you probably would be happier bringing it. But you need to make sure it's a car that you can get the parts for. Because there's a lot of cars you can bring here.
And the roads here can be varied in quality,
Yeah.
which is, just one of those realities of where we live. So it's got to be
it's where you live, and it's where you live and how you live. Like for us, we only have a quad. We're like, I don't know, less than 5 minutes down the hill and to the road to town. I can go there. I can get anything I want in the quad.
Right.
And if I want to go somewhere that I need a vehicle, I just rent a vehicle for a day or two or three. Right? It's much cheaper. It's easier. I don't have to deal with it. If I'm gone, I can just park the quad easily, cover it up with the thing, and be gone. But that doesn't work for everybody, you know. So if you have kids and stuff, you've got to have more choices. I think sometimes those kinds of things are good for the Facebook groups because you can talk to people and what they have done. As far as the question about like renting this month, I really think you have to go back to what kind of mouse you are, and you need to focus on those areas that you think that you would be happy in. And I think that you can be happy anywhere. You're going to get a feel for a place. It depends on if you have kids, if you need to be by certain kind of schools, right? Schools always determine, no matter who we are and where we live, where we're going to live, right? So you need to look at those things. Myself, I worry a lot about people renting because you never get that money back, you know. The negative is if you buy and you make a mistake and you don't like it there, then it could take you time to sell, right? So that's something to look at. But then you still get the money back in theory, you know. So you got to really weigh that. I mean, I know people who have spent $50,000 renting the first year, right? A lot of money. You got to really look at that. So, you know, it's a personal decision of what assets you have that you're willing to extend.
So every one of these check off list items, you know, where, realtor, buy, sell, build a new place. When you do your research, and like I said, I know Quatro Legal has blogs, and we have articles, and then you can go and ask a Facebook group. Just be prepared for a variety of answers. Some people have a misconception that this is paradise and all is perfect, but that place does not exist here.
Yes.
And there's people who are negative and bitter where they were at, and they brought that here. And then, you know, they're unhappy, or they complain all the time. You know, the drivers, the taxi guys that stop in front of you without any notice. I mean, it's not a paradise, but there's certainly a framework here in Costa Rica where people can choose to, and I'm an hour and a half away from the Arnall and the waterfalls, and I've got a dozen beaches within 30-minute drive of where I live, which is great for me, maybe not somebody else. So doing your due diligence and research, and I do hear stories of people picking the wrong towns to go to, and then they don't like Costa Rica because of the two towns they picked were not really what you would call Costa Rica, original Costa Rica. They were very touristy, very packed, and, you know, had all those things. And that may be for some people, it may not be for other people.
And that's the thing you need to really think about. I mean, the reality of it is that you probably, I don't know what the statistics would be, but probably the majority of the people who come probably are not fluent in Spanish, right? So if you're not fluent in Spanish, you know, that's a hurdle in itself. You can be in Costa Rica forever and not ever learn Spanish. I mean, it depends on where you live. You have to live in certain places. You never need Spanish. Right. And so you need to get something fixed on your house. And then you may need somebody to help you that speaks Spanish, right? But you really have to think about where you want to live. If you're a very social person, you know, I'm a very social person. I like to do stuff. I'm doing stuff constantly. You know, I go, you know, I go to groups where we play dominoes twice a week. I am in a craft group. The women, we go out for lunch, you know, probably.
Pickleball?
Huh?
Have you done pickleball yet?
No, it's too hot. Although they're supposed to be building a pickleball, they are going to build a pickleball court.
Yes, there's a lot of that around where I live.
I think it's a little too hot, One thing you have to know, if you're going to be at the beach in Costa Rica, you need to be prepared for the fact that it's going to be hot.
Hot,
You know what
humid,
hot?
and make sure you have mosquito spray also.
Yeah. We don't have that much of that in Samara. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's so windy and we're like right across the street from the beach. But yeah, it's going to be hot. And one of the things is that, like for us, we've gone to the effort to be acclimated to the weather. So we never run the air conditioning. Never. We had it on 3 nights in 6 months. Okay. But we get a really great breeze. And some evenings it's cool enough that I have a little light cover, right? But if you're not going to do that, if you're not going to acclimate yourself to the heat and you're going to run the AC all the time, then you need to be prepared for like a $300 bill a month.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah. And if you're not that person, then you need to go move up the hill a little bit where it's cooler and you're not going to need the AC. I mean, Costa Rica has something for everyone. You just have to kind of, back to what you said about some people come and they're still unhappy. One movie I really like is 6 Days, 7 Nights. I don't know if you've ever seen it with, of course, has Harrison Ford in it. But one of the quotes there is he says to the woman, he says, "Honey is an island. If you didn't bring it, it ain't here." And that's a little bit like moving to another country, right? If you didn't bring it, it's not going to be there. But if you brought your bad humor and you brought your bad attitude and you brought your not having any patience with you, then it's going to be there, right? So lots of people have trouble and they leave because they can't, you're going to have bureaucracy, right? There is bureaucracy. You have to be prepared for that. You have to be okay with learning new things. You have to be okay with meeting new people. I mean, I probably know 200 people, if I really sat down and started writing it out, within 20, 30 miles of me, right? I can, we go quadro, we do once a week, we go quadro, we're doing things. It depends on who you are, right? I can't go move to a little tiny town in the middle of nowhere because there wouldn't be enough people for me there. But for some people, they might be just as happy as a lark to live in the middle of nowhere, right? In the jungle, and with the monkeys and the sloths and no people. But you have to discover that, and that's got to be, you got to know yourself,
Right.
And I also say that it's no different. Our families moved cross country twice. But it was still in the same country, so that's, you don't have those struggles. But you still have to be able to move and meet new people and to acclimate yourself to what's going to be in place. And that's the most important thing coming to Costa Rica. You've got to make sure you've got the personality, and that's something you're going to make the effort to do so you're happy there. If you don't, then you're not going to be happy anywhere, whether you move cross country to anywhere or to Costa Rica.
Right. I came from downtown Houston, where within blocks I had access to everything. And Costa Rica, you can get things here. It's not like we're totally isolated, but things are a little slower paced. It takes a little longer sometimes to like standing in the line at the bank.
The bank.
We had to bring in the word bank, and every bank is. You still have all your your medical facilities are here. It's not like you're out in a third world country and you're totally isolated. The cost of utilities and gas. Someone asked me what gas was, and I've been here 5 years, and I couldn't tell you what I pay. It's an essential. I go and they fill it up, and I give them my cards. But some people, has been a rise, especially in our area when it comes to food. But then again, in coming out in September, August, Howler, we have the Blue Zone menu. Costa Rica has one of the blue zones. I think you're in it there where you're at. So what does that menu look like? And if you want to make some adjustments, and you can certainly adapt your eating style, and where you're not buying, so much expensive things or going out all the time and things like that. So if someone's coming in and they're going to get here. What are some of the entry visa requirements, and how can Quatro Legal help on that?
Well, right now, if someone's coming in, everybody comes to Costa Rica generally on some sort of tourist visa. And right now, you can come into Costa Rica they changed it to 180 days on a tourist visa. Now, the caveat to that is you need to make sure that your return flight or your onward bound ticket, whatever kind of ticket you have, and no matter where that's going, it doesn't have to go back to your country you came from, is 180 days. Because they look at it, and you only bought, you bought something and your return is 2 weeks from now, then your visa is going to be good for 2 weeks. And so you need to really look at that. And then if you want to stay longer, then, I think you need to really start looking at residency. We're people who sat on the fence for a long time with residency.
Right.
And some of that was in the beginning. We didn't really qualify because how long you had to stay in the country. And then we just kind of like kept kicking the can down the road. It wasn't until the pandemic that I really realized what I had done, and that I have an investment in a country that I cannot legally come and go from unless they allow me to. And that's what a tourist visa is, right? They allow you to come into the country. And so if you're going to stay and you want to stay and you want to make this your home or your second home and you're regularly going to come, you really need to have residency. And if you have an investment, in my opinion, which is really, as you just heard, changed over the years, you need to look at it as it's part of the investment in your property, because you don't ever want to be in a situation where you can't come. And hopefully that never happens again. But other things could happen in the world that would cause it where you couldn't come and go. And if you're a resident, you're always going to get to come and go. So we have ours now. I'm very excited. And there's different types. You have to see what one you can qualify for. Lots of people can qualify for pensionado. It's a very low minimum income requirement. You have to be 65 or older and be collecting a lifetime retirement or pension with that. You can be a rentista, which is a different category, which they have changed a lot. You really need to talk to an attorney to really understand that, because pretty much anything you have read it on the internet is wrong. Unless you've read things at Quatro. I could only speak to that, because that has changed in the last couple of years, just extensively. It's just total change. And then there's the investor one, where you can become a resident with an investor of $150,000 or more. That's a minimum. But you also need to really talk to an attorney about that before you go off and buy land, so you understand how you should hold the property. Should you hold it in your own name? Should it be a corporation? What all is entailed by that? Does it need to really be worth $300,000 because I'm going to own it with someone else, or my wife or husband or partner or whatever? You need to understand these things, and too often I think people decide, they go to a real estate person, they make an offer, they're just head over heels with this property, and then they go talk to an attorney, and some of these attorneys are really only, they just really are only after your money, and they want to put you in things and sell you things because that's good for them, and it's not always good for you. And so you need somebody who's going to look out for you, and that's what Quatro will do.
Right. So you want to be an expat, and we've just spent a few minutes just scratching the top of the surface.
Oh my God!
Blogs.
Yeah, there's 1,000 more things, Terry.
Yeah, that's why we're going to be doing these segments once a month with you, and there's certainly a lot of information on Quatro Legal, and also howlermag.com. The links will be provided, and so if I wanted to, I could just email you or call Quatro Legal, and I could just ask some basic questions, and then what does that look like? I mean, I know you're got a lot of information to help me decide.
Right.
What would be the
Anybody can email
And-
me any question. Just email me,
right.
right? And then I'll
Just-
email you back. I'll give you my WhatsApp number. For people listening that may not know about WhatsApp, that's become the international way to call everybody in
Right.
the world. You don't even really need a local phone in Costa Rica anymore if you have WhatsApp. You know, I used to always have one. I still sometimes do for some things, but for the most part, I totally use WhatsApp. But I'll send you my WhatsApp number. We can set up a way to talk like on video like this. Some people don't like that. So if you don't like that and you'd rather just talk on the phone, we can talk on WhatsApp. I'm really very, I hope, easy to talk to and very approachable. I truly love talking to expats, right? And I love Costa Rica. And so no question is too weird for me.
So I can ask you a dumb question.
You can ask me anything you want. I may not have the answer, but I certainly will try to point you in the right direction. If it's about legal things, I have all the people with all the answers. But sometimes people ask me different things. So I'm like, well, I might not know about that, but maybe I know somebody who does. Because you're coming to a foreign place and you're going to live in a foreign country, and you need to know that you have someone that's going to talk to you and answer a question. And it's not just random people. I mean, I am one of the random people on Facebook. I try to answer people's questions, but I read some of the answers.
Trying to straighten out some.
Yeah, I read some of the answers.
I'm trying to straighten out people.
Yeah, and it can be kind of crazy. I'm like, it doesn't work like that, people. It doesn't work like that. But then somebody will take that answer and run with it, and later find out like, oh, this didn't work like that. So I'm happy for them to email me. I will do my best to answer the question. We'll help you with if it's any legal need. Quatro can help you with anything from, buying a car, from, buying property, selling property, your residency. If you want a corporation, if you're going to start a business, if you're a bigger corporation and you are already in Costa Rica and you want to bring in people that are going to work in Costa Rica, we can help with those kinds of things. There's really pretty much nothing legal that we cannot help with, other than domestic relation type things. But just don't feel like I hope people don't feel like their only option is to find out on Facebook the answers to their questions, and that they have somebody that they can always. And we have a free consultation, so why not use that? Why not use it?
So we're going to be getting together once a month and share these, and we hope you, the viewer, will share that with other people that may be interested in what's Costa Rica all about and what does it take to be an expat, and so much resources, good information out there, and do your due diligence. And there are great realtors. There's not so great realtors. There's some great legal representation, and then there's not. I mean, it's like anything else. So we're here to help you provide resources that you can make the most intelligent decision possible from your due diligence of researching. Debbie, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much, Terry. This was so much fun. I love Howler Magazine. You guys really hold the footprint, right, for that type of thing in Costa Rica. And
we never quit publishing. We never, even COVID, we quit printing. And now we have 500,000 readers a month. So it's been exciting. We just kept going.
You just kept going, and people kept reading and kept listening. Your graphics and all of your photos and everything is beautifully done. It's fabulous. I really love it. So thanks for being there for all of us.
You'll see that the links will be provided. Thank you so much. And we'll see you in about a month. And if you got questions, contact Quatro Legal.
Thanks, Terry. You have a great day. Ciao.
Pura vida.
Pura vida.